Afternoon, gang. Okay, so after a slow weekend, here we get some interesting stuff coming out that we all need to pay attention to and realize how it affects us. All right. Whether you've been seeing or not, this infrastructure bill that's going through, it looks like it's going to be pushed through because we have enough rhinos in the Senate to side with the Democrats, and I get a kick out of it because they're more concerned about going on vacation than doing what's right for the country. I guess you had 18 senators that all of a sudden said, oh, gee, you know what? I think I'll be a Democrat today, and pushed through this craziness that is the infrastructure package. Okay, this is the first part of it. All right, this is the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Okay, supposedly it's going to get voted on tomorrow. Now I kind of walked you through a lot of what was in it. But just to give you this, 9% of that $1.2 trillion actually goes to infrastructure. The other 91% goes to Democrat pet projects. Okay. But I want to give you this as a point, okay? Besides the fact that this is the door opener, if you will, for the $3.5 trillion child care, elder care, gay aunt studies, again, whatever the hell it would be, deal. A bunch of Democrats have said we have to pass this first one before we're ever going to take up that second one. And again, they all want to go on vacation. But I want to give you this, okay? And this is kind of important. Remember during the Obama era, and everybody screamed and yelled and everything like that Obama doubled the national debt in his tenure, that the 43 presidents before him ran up as much debt as Obama did, okay? And Obama ran up somewhere to the tune of 10 or $11 trillion in debt. Somewhere else. Okay. I want to give you this, all right, and give you an idea of where we're going, all right? If we take this bill, this $1.5 trillion deal that's going through, the spending bill, and the money already spent on COVID relief, okay, the excess, the stimmy checks and the excess unemployment and all this sort of crap, good old potato has added $7 trillion to the national debt in the first 6 months of being president. And everybody bitched about Obama doing 10 or 11 trillion in 8 years. Okay? Biden's on that to do it in 8 months. This is how insane it is. I want you guys to take a look at something, all right, to give you an idea of where we're headed. All right? And I know everybody talks about, Venezuela or the Soviet Union or wherever. I want you to look at Lebanon, okay? Beirut, we all know this, okay? At one point, Beirut was the jewel of the Middle East. There were two democracies in the Middle East, Lebanon and Israel, okay? Beirut has gone through Beirut, Lebanon as a whole. And granted, some of this is from the explosion last year, okay, that's caused this. But the Lebanese economy has completely crashed. Now, I want you to tell me if any of this stuff sounds, familiar. Murder rates in Lebanon are rising. Robberies, rapes, assaults are rising. Food prices are going up. This is the prelude to an economic collapse. Now add that with adding $7 trillion in debt to our economy, printing money, ones and zeros, okay, left and right, causing inflation. You have in Lebanon right now, where their GDP got cut by about 40%. We all know what happened to our GDP at the beginning of the pandemic. God forbid if we have another lockdown, what would happen to our GDP again? Okay. They're looking at 400% inflation right now in Lebanon. There's been fights, there's been assaults, there's been killings over people trying to buy bread, sugar, vegetable oil, whatever it would be, okay? This is where we're heading with all of this. If we wind up in another lockdown situation, and I don't know if you all saw Angry Prepper this afternoon around lunchtime, did a live stream in New York City where they were protesting a lockdown. And I mean, there were a lot of people there because, again, on the forefront, Democrat-run city, de Blasio, and a Democrat-run state, the sex offender Cuomo, trying to do this. We already know in New York, you can't go, like I said before, can't go to a Yankees game, can't go to a restaurant, can't go to Radio City Music Hall, do whatever, because they've got all these goofy mandates going on. So, yeah, there go the dogs again, go figure. But take a look at what is going on currently. I know every time somebody talks about Venezuela, it's like, oh, well, that's different. They weren't really a democracy. Beirut and Lebanon were, okay? They were a democracy. I mean, they were not a constitutional republic. I will give, before anybody starts bitching about that again, okay? But they had Democrat elected president, Democrat elected prime minister, everything. There was a little bit of difference because they did it based on the religion, whether they were Christian, Muslim, or whatever the third deal was. You had to have one representative from each of the three main religions, okay, based on population, okay? And it could change. I mean, if you had a Muslim president, you had a Christian prime minister, or vice versa, whatever it would be. That was just how they did it. A little different than here. But this is how bad it has gotten, okay? Where the Lebanese prime minister, basically the entire government resigned, okay? And his quote was, "I set out to combat corruption, but I discovered that corruption is bigger than the state." Gee, what does that sound like? Okay. It's just, they've completely collapsed. And, the U.S. obviously is a lot bigger than Lebanon, but we are on the exact same path with the not being able to pay our debt because Lebanon defaulted on their euro debt, okay? The United States is in the same boat. I mean, again, we're running at, around 150% of debt to GDP. That's when countries collapse, guys, economically. This is what you got to watch for. This is the craziness that is going on. And I know we keep hearing all these people going, oh, the economy's getting better and blah. Bullshit. Where the hell is the economy getting better? Oh, I'm getting paid $15 an hour now to say, would you like fries with that? Yeah, great. Your loaf of bread now costs you $4. Okay. So, when you were getting paid $8 an hour and the loaf of bread cost you $1, you were paying 12.5% of your hourly wage for a loaf of bread. Okay. Now you're paying 25. That's a great idea. You're getting paid more, which means you're paying more taxes. There's the other thing I want to bring up to people, all right? They want to make more money. Great. But understand, when you make more money, you pay higher taxes. You go into a higher tax bracket, okay? So the government is all for people getting paid more because you move into a higher tax bracket and they get more money to spend, okay? So think about it. Your spending power is less, the bread is more expensive, the government gets more taxes, and you're actually in worse shape than you were before. But nobody ever thinks about that, okay? It's just, how much money do I bring home? Well, yip-de-doo-dah. When your groceries cost you, $200 a month, and now they cost you $300 a month, okay? That extra $100 a month, gee, what's that got to take for, how many more hours of work do you have to go to do it? Watch this, guys. This is what's coming. This is what's going on today. Not last year, not last decade, not in the last century. Today, this is what's going on in Lebanon, and it's coming to a country near you. Duh. The frustration in my voice sometimes. Have a good Monday afternoon, guys. Pinball out.